Hello everybody, Bruce here with a short video on exercise, skill building exercise number 9 in Canvas, item 4.6.2. Now, I gave you some HTML code here and I said, hey, take this code and make it add up 3 numbers and display the sum in another field, right? So I know some of you have tried it and you've run into some problems, right? So here, let me review the form, not the form, the HTML code with you. And lines 8 through, 15 have 3 input fields. The first one has an ID of number 1, the second number 2, and the third number 3. And on line 15, we have a button with a JavaScript on click event that has no code in it right now. And then on line 18, we have an input field that's set to read only. The attribute read only is there because we want it to display the sum of the numbers. And I've given that an ID of the sum. And remember that no two elements, HTML element on a page, can have the same number, the same name, right? So here in the onClick event, I'm going to open up those single quotes so we can put some JavaScript in here. And what we need to do here, is create a variable called sum and then say we want to take the thing with ID of number 1, so number 1, and its value, and we want to add to that number 2 dot value, and the third item, number 3 dot value, So I took the value of each one of these controls using their ID and dot value, and I'm adding them together and assigning to the variable sum, So I then want to take the ID of the control, which is the sum down here, say the sum, and set its value to the newly, created variable called sum, So let's try that. So let's go here. Let's refresh the page. I was doing some work here before. And let's enter in 1 plus 1 plus 1. That should be 3, right? Oh, it's not 111. What do you think it did there? What do you think JavaScript, nasty JavaScript, did there? It concatenated the things as strings. Oh, so how do we get around that? There's a function in JavaScript. Actually, there are a whole bunch of functions, but you know how we use console.log, and then we had open parentheses, and then we put some, code in there or a variable, Well, there are ways to force these things, which JavaScript is assuming to be strings, because it's trying to concatenate them all together, to force them to numbers, We didn't run into this in some of the other exercises that we did because we were doing multiplication and it was able to decipher it. So JavaScript was like, hey, I'll just treat them as strings, because I know how. So JavaScript has a couple built-in ways to convert things to either an integer, which is a whole number, or a floating point number. So let's, for all intensive purposes, let's put in parse, be careful here, parse int. Notice the camel case in that function. Then I'm going to enclose that in a parentheses here. Same thing here. P-A-R-S-E-I-N-T, capital there and there. So I'm forcing these things to become integers. P-A-R-S-E-I-N-T, I'm forcing them to become integers. I'm invoking JavaScript's power, saying, convert these things to integers. So now I'm going to save it. Again, pause if you need to. Going to go back, refresh, and now I'll do 1, 1, 1. And now we get the expected result of 3. Now, just know that by putting parse int, you won't be able to add up numbers with decimals. We could change the parse int to parse float, and that will give us the ability to type in numbers like 3.1415 or 10.1 or things like that. In fact, I'll show you. So here I'm going to enter 10 plus 20 plus 10, So 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 10 is 40. Add them up, 40. We got the expected result. We're rocking and rolling. Pretty cool, right? So sorry for the colors here. I was trying to find something that would work. So right now we got everything working, and we're going to replace the parse int with parse float. So we're going to say take that number that the user enters, convert it from a string to a floating point number. A floating point number. So here we go. I'm going to go back to Chrome. Whoops, I'm going to go back to Chrome. I'm going to hit Shift Refresh. Okay, Shift Refresh. I'm going to enter 1.1 plus 1.1 plus 1.1. So that should be 3.2. Ready? Click. There it is. 3.3. So it did some rounding for us here, right? So I showed you in class the other day how we can use math.floor, right, to deal with that. And we'll go over that again. Okay? I mean, the math.floor stuff in future lessons, okay? So I hope this little video helped. And if you need more videos on a particular area, just let me know. Have a great day.